What's up, y'all? Okay, so we are talking about Summer House, Martha's Vineyard, episode 2. It was so much going on, child. Like I said that last episode, but that was like introductory. I felt like it was because we were trying to get to know so many cast members. I had to get to know the names. I feel like I have the names now, but like this episode was like it was a lot going on. Like it was a lot of interactions. It was a lot of things. So let's just get into it. They were leaving dinner, and basically they left off on this argument or disagreement that Jordan was having with Silas about Jasmine going out too much in the city in New York and being out late, and how that's, I guess, dangerous. I don't know if he clearly explained like why he had an issue with it, but it seems like everybody understood that the issue, I don't know, it felt like a weird kind of like control thing, I guess. And I think that's what I don't know, I think that's the undertone of it all, maybe. On our way back to the house, and basically Mariah was having a call with her son and they were doing affirmations. So I just thought that was cute. So I wrote that down in my notes. They get back to the house and they're discussing, though, like at this point, they're like getting ready to go to bed. And Jasmine and Silas are discussing the night. And Silas is just like, do you think that I basically came at Jordan wrong on the situation? And I like how Jasmine was like, yeah. Like, at the end of the day, like, yeah, because it didn't have anything to do with Jordan. Like, if he had a problem with Jasmine being out late in the city as a married woman or whatever and hanging out with her single friends, that's a conversation he needed to have with Jasmine. Why would you address Jordan like that? I'm glad she broke it down like that, because I didn't really break it down like that last episode because there was too much going on. I wasn't understanding. I'm glad that she put it together for me, and I agree. When they do like the transitions between scenes, like basically they'll like split if y'all don't watch, they'll split the camera into 4 different views and they'll show different things in the 4 different cameras. And this is the second time now on the second episode that they've showed like Jasmine and Silas in their room being intimate. Like in this episode, they were full on having sex. So I'm like, well, hold on. Like, I didn't know Bravo gave it up like that. Like, what's going on? Obviously, they know that there's a camera there, but it's like, are they not thinking about the fact that they're having full on intercourse on camera, on national television? And there was some chatter. I'm not gonna say I said it because I didn't say it, but there was some chatter on Twitter, basically where people were like, it gives that they're doing that, Jasmine and Silas, because they know that it'll make like good TV. Now I didn't say that, but I read that on Twitter. The next morning, we're still on Jasmine. I hope y'all read Jasmine the way that I be reading Jasmine, because I be feeling bad. I don't think Jasmine is a bad person or anything, and I think that she could be cool, but I just feel like there's so much to say, so it just is what it is. That next morning when Jasmine threw that bacon into that pan, she basically, like, she woke up and she was just saying, like, how she cooks for Silas every morning. Okay, cool, whatever. And then she was like making him breakfast, and she just threw like 6 full strips of bacon in like this size of a pan. And they were just like, it was just a mound of bacon in this pan. I may be like being dramatic, but I'm gonna show it to y'all.
I like to describe myself as a stay-at-home wife.
I just thought that was ridiculous. We get to the fact where we're getting 2 new house guests. I don't know if this is it. I don't know how many they have in total, but there are 2 more people coming, and it's Shanice and Phil. Oh my God, that just took so long. They start talking about the fact that Nick was also in Shanice's DMs. So now we have that Nick was in Jordan's DMs and Nick was in Shanice's DMs. So that's interesting. I don't know. I don't think that this is going to be tea or anything, but I think it's just like showing more of Nick's character. And I think Nick is cool. I like Nick. Nick is funny. Shanice gets there and Nick ain't even interested. He basically outright says like she looked totally different on social media than she does in person. And he wasn't feeling it. And then later on, we find out that Shanice is not feeling him either. So at the end of the day, that started and that ended the way that it did. It kind of played out throughout the episode, but I just figured I would get it out there for y'all. Like, don't get excited, because it doesn't get tea. So they go to this cool like barnyard bowling thing, and they had like a bar or whatever. And it just seemed like they was in there having a good time. BRIA, I love BRIA. BRIA was walking around with this bag with Milo in it. I told y'all last episode, she wasn't going nowhere without Milo. That's her dog, her emotional support dog. And she got him in this little bag, this little see-through bag. And they was asking her like, "Hey, how's Milo doing?" She's like, "I'm about to go put him on a hook," and hung him up on the little hook on the bar. All right.
You good, Milo?
He's just chilling. He loves it.
What's going on with you?
Kicking it and drinking and bowling. Perfect. So that was cute. Jasmine is asking BRIA like, "Hey, so like, what would Silas be doing if he was here?" Which is a very odd question. Like, I wouldn't ask somebody that, but I guess. So she basically asks, because Silas is BRIA's boyfriend who lives out of the country. And she's just like, what would Silas be doing if he was here? And she's like, oh, girl, like, you know, trying to figure out an answer to a very weird question. And she was just like, I mean, like, paying for everything, buying everything, which seems like it would be a typical answer. And Jasmine starts going in her confessional, like, girl, she's like, why are we talking about Silas's money? Like, I don't even know Silas like that. You just asked her a question. She gave you an answer. Like, I thought that was so weird. But that's all I'm going to say about that. Then I was looking at BRIA a little bit crazy because she was having a conversation with Silas and Jasmine. She's having a conversation with them, and she's just like, yeah, so speaking of, like, would it be okay if my boyfriend came out here and like he stayed for a week? Because it wouldn't be convenient for him to like, you know, come and go and then try to come back or whatever she was saying. But basically she asked, could he stay for 7 days? And I'm thinking like, I don't know about that. They have this thing at the bottom of the screen. I don't know if y'all noticed. And it says like day whatever of 15. So if they're only there for 15 days and you want your man to be there for half of the experience, like how are you going to be tapped in? So I wasn't really feeling that, but they, to my surprise, were like, yeah, cool, da 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 da. So maybe that's just a part of the show and that had been planned originally. Like, I don't know. Or maybe I'm looking too much into it. But I don't know about bringing a man on a group trip for half of the trip. But we'll see how that plays out. We knew he was coming anyway, but we didn't know he was staying for a week. But maybe he won't be involved. Like, maybe it'll just be some behind the scenes stuff. Like, I don't know. I've never watched Summer House. So this is new for me. I'm new here. I'm getting acclimated. But that struck me as interesting. I wasn't really on a run with this, like, because last episode, Jasmine was talking about how BRIA wasn't like a relationship girl and she just kind of like dated on and off and all that type of stuff. Like she didn't take her relationship seriously. I wasn't really gonna run with that. I thought she was just being shady, but they brought that back up. And they basically asked BRIA like, okay, do you think she takes your relationship seriously now? And BRIA's like, no. And then they get to Jasmine's confessional where she's reading BRIA down as usual. And she's like, no, I'm not. She basically is like, I'm not gonna take her relationship seriously because she's not married. And I hate that. Like, what does that even mean? Like, what? Because she's not married, she's not in a real relationship. Like, I don't understand that thinking. And it's like, from this, like, you and Silas just got married 2 days ago. So I don't know. The things that Jasmine says are interesting to me. Like, I don't know. Like I said, I hope y'all read Jasmine the way I read Jasmine. Because I just don't know. She later on brought up the fact, like, she doesn't feel like her friends know how to deal with to marry her. And I'm like, that's because you're being weird. So I'm sure. Like later that night, they went outside and they were getting ready for MARIAH's moon mass, I think was the name of it. And basically Nick and Jordan were kikiing and they're like, why does Casada's like, let me go check on Jasmine. And they're kikiing, they're like, why does he always have to go check on Jasmine? She went down the hallway. Nick and Jordan were kikiing way more than that. They was basically kikiing the whole time. And that was stirring Amir up, which is still weird. I don't really see the whole Amir and like Jordan thing. I don't know if they're keeping us out of it a little bit. I know that they did like the kayak thing or whatever early in the episode, but I don't know. I'm not into it. Like, it's distracting to me. Like, I feel like it's kind of in the background. They keep trying to make it a thing and it's not really a thing. And when I tell you, you cannot take your eyes off of this show because there are things happening on this show, on Bravo. Not even just like when they film in the transitions, they done show Amir's whole ass. Just on the screen, I just told you they literally showed Silas and Jasmine having sex, and that they got Amir's ass just on camera. I'm like, you have to watch the show. Like, you have to keep your eyes on the screen because there are several things happening at once. And if you look too quick, you'll miss it. I saw it. I'm like, those are Amir's cakes on my screen. And I'm like, that's no way, because that's how quick it went. I'm like, there's no way. I had to go on Twitter. And it took a while because, you know, we're all tweeting from different places. So you never know, like, when it's going to come in, what's the time zone, where you're at. You know, maybe my phone's got a little lag. So I'm scrolling for a minute, and then it just starts to pop up. And I'm like, okay, it was what I thought I saw. That was very interesting. Like, on Bravo, honestly, like, at that point, I honestly kept looking at the clock, just because when it's a lot going on in the episode, I look at the clock like, what could be left? Like, honestly, like, that, I'm always thinking, like, what could they really squeeze more into this episode? But it literally kept going. I think I had looked at the clock, and it had only been about like 25 minutes out of the hour. It was crazy. Then they get to a point where, like, I had already talked about this. Like, Nick was talking about he wasn't feeling Shanice, and Shanice wasn't feeling him either. That's how long it's been. Now that finally has happened, because I gave y'all the sneak peek earlier. That's finally occurred. Y'all, when Mariah said Nick looked like a Nickelodeon splat, Mariah was on some weird stuff this episode too. I had mentioned the moon mask that they did. Well, they were like, that was like Mariah's thing that she wanted to do for everybody. But it was like, I guess, really cold outside. You could tell it was windy, and they had a fire going. So I guess it was like getting into people's eyes or whatever. And they had just came from bowling. So it just seemed like Mariah was trying to have her moment and like connect with the group. And everybody wasn't really feeling it. So I kind of felt Mariah at the end when she was like, you know, just kind of disappointed about that. And she felt like she was disconnected from the group. And like she had a wall that went up. However, the next day it felt like she was just kind of like being negative and like picking. Then we get to this thing where she got into it with BRIA. I guess what happened was the clothes were like, they were clean clothes. They were dry, clean clothes. But it was like the human towels were mixed in with BRIA's dog stuff. Like her dog, Milo. But to my understanding, it was all clean. So for me, I don't necessarily see the issue with that. People are different with dogs. So I get if you don't want dog stuff mixed in with people stuff, but it was clean. So unless I'm missing something, I didn't really think that that was a big deal. So in that instance, I think that Mariah was picking. It just escalated from there, and it was a bad situation. Obviously, they almost got physical, I guess. It was really petty. Like, it was a lot going on. Like, and BRIA got turned up, which I didn't expect. And Milo was hollering at the top of his lungs in the room. So it was a lot. And they were just trying to go out. Everybody was just trying to go out and have a good time. In that moment though, Shanice didn't, they noted like Shanice didn't stick up for BRIA. Like, she kind of just ran off and got in the car. And to Shanice's credit though, like, that was her first night there. So my girl was trying to have fun. And she honestly had made that clear. Like, she was just trying to have a good time. She thought Nick was cute, trying to hang with Nick, trying to have a good time, like, whatever. But BRIA was pissed. Obviously, they got to the dinner that they were going to that night, and BRIA was just kind of like, girl, like, I'm not feeling the fact that you left me when I got into it with Mariah. Like, you were supposed to have my back. And Shanice just kind of like, I'm just trying to have a good time. So BRIA's pissed. BRIA walks away.
It really pissed me off. No, I don't even want to talk because I don't like that shit, bro.
Wait, I don't want to sit here.
Nah, I'm good.
It's just a lot going on with BRIA. I understand though, but I honestly I feel like I would have been over it at that point. Like, okay, I'm not fooling with Mariah. I'm not fooling with Shanice. But everybody's here. I want to have a good time. Like, whatever. But she wasn't feeling it. That's only 40 minutes into the episode. Like, I don't even know how. Then we get back to the house. Preston and Mariah stayed back. And now Phil has arrived. Phil is lit. When he walked up to the house, he like, everything happened in motion and he just kind of collapsed. It's kind of like he dropped the bag, he skipped the step, then he dropped the Don Julio bottle, then he fell, and then he got all up. And I'm like, is he drunk? Like, what's going on? Ever since he came in, now the episode is relit. Like, it's relit. Things are re-happening all over again. And it's intense. And I'm just like, then we go to a commercial break. Perfect time for a commercial break. And they come back. Phil's still lit. Phil's ripping through the house. He's trying to have shots with Preston. He goes up and meets Mariah. And he has this issue now because the room that he had claimed over FaceTime with BRIA had been occupied by Nick. And they showed this long flashback that it felt like they showed it 3 times. Basically, he was on FaceTime with BRIA, and he told her, I like that room, put a note on that room, that's my room. So to his understanding, BRIA had put this note on the room, and the room was really his over FaceTime. I guess also that he had missed his earlier flight. So I guess that's part of the story. Like, if had he been there earlier, he would have gotten that room, I guess. So, you know, he finds out that Nick has that room. So he's lit. So he's like trying to look for where to move Nick's stuff. He goes and uses the bathroom in Nick's bathroom, not a number 1, but a number 2, and doesn't flush the toilet. He lets Milo out to run around, and they take shots, and then they all proceed to go to the club. They get to the club. Preston immediately goes to Nick, and he's like, hey, I think that Phil was moving your stuff out of your room. Even though Preston knows that Phil was moving stuff out of his room because Preston was there, he says, I think that Phil was moving your stuff out of your room. And then Nick's kind of like, what? And he's like, yeah, Phil was moving your stuff out of your room. Nick goes to approach Phil. I don't even think they know each other. Like, Phil was like, oh, BRIA was supposed to leave my name on the room. I guess she didn't. Haha. You know, I'll check her about that later. But also, I used the bathroom in your bathroom. And it's like, it feels like Nick is like, what? Like, we just met. Feels like, yeah, but it's cool, whatever. And while we're there, sorry, Bria's still upset. And basically, she sees that Mariah has pulled up. Mariah's kicking it, having a good time. Hasn't approached her, hasn't said, hey, girl, sorry for being aggressive. Allegedly, I guess, Mariah had shoved her a little bit. I saw more so that she had pushed the towels into her, but Bria's describing it as she pushed her, so maybe same thing. Nobody did anything about it. Shanice ran away, supposed to be her homegirl, so she's pissed. But Mariah's out there having a good time. She didn't say anything about it. She's cool. Everything's great. Nothing happened. So that pisses Bria off. Bria goes to vent to Jordan, who then Jordan goes to go off on Jasmine because she's like, well, Jasmine, like, you know, you should have said something. Like, why didn't you say anything? And to Jasmine's credit, she got down there kind of like mid-time between them getting into it. So at this point, like, now it's just like, okay, now we're just on Jasmine, y'all. We gotta chill. Everybody chill. She was in her room doing whatever she was doing. And then Silas came in there like, you know, the girls are girling. So she came out like, what's going on? So she kind of caught the tail end of it. So let's be fair to Jasmine, okay? She caught the tail end of it. She had no idea what's going on. It had nothing to do with her. She said in the confessional, she's like, I wasn't even there. Like, I don't even know what's going on. It had nothing to do with me. I wasn't there. Jordan's going off on her. It's a catastrophe. So if that's not enough, we're at the 50-minute mark. We got 10 minutes left. And those commercials come on, and I'm like, I know it's gotta be coming towards an end. We gotta be hitting a landing. They get back to the house, and Nick goes to the bathroom, and he discovers that Phil did indeed use the bathroom in his bathroom and not flush the toilet. So he goes up to, you know, Phil, cool, calm, and collected. He's like, you know, bro, we're better than this. Like, can you please go flush the toilet? Phil's like, you didn't flush it? And Nick's like, no, I didn't flush it. You didn't flush it. He's like, can you please go flush the toilet? Like, come on. And like, Phil's just he's not down for that. He's not feeling that. And he like said something else. Like, Preston had kind of was over there talking to him, and he had on a small-ish shirt. And he was just like, Phil said something like, if your shirt was one size bigger. Like, just trying to be funny. Alex is on the couch. I haven't mentioned Alex all episode, but Alex was there. Alex is just like, that was corny. So then he turns around and he gets into it with Alex. And Amir was sitting by. So then Amir stands up and he gets into it with him. It was just so much. It was so much, but it was a really good episode. I came on here almost immediately to talk to y'all, so I haven't even really gotten to get into Twitter, and I really like to get into the hashtag, so that's what I'm going to be doing. If I'm being dramatic and I'm just not able to keep up and there's really not that much going on, please let me know. I'm not used to this. As I say, this is my first time watching Summer House, but it's intense and they show us a lot at once, even in the transitions. So I'm getting acclimated. I'm still learning names. I think I did pretty good today, and we'll be back next time.